This hybrid was already dead. Not needs a little work dead. Not cheap fix if you know a guy dead. This was end of the road dead. The kind of dead where nobody argues anymore. Where mechanics don't debate. Where dealerships don't upsell. Where the only remaining conversation is about towing fees and scrap value. Everyone agreed on one thing. This car was finished. The diagnosis was simple, terrifying, and final. Bad hybrid battery. If you've ever owned or even researched a hybrid, you already know what that sentence does. It doesn't just describe a problem, it ends the discussion. It turns a functioning vehicle into a financial liability overnight. People hear bad hybrid battery and they don't think about troubleshooting. They think about numbers. $5,000, $8,000, sometimes more. They think about high voltage warnings, special tools, dealership-only repairs, and the risk of getting it wrong. They think, walk away. That's exactly what happened here. This car wasn't abused, it wasn't wrecked, it wasn't neglected in the dramatic sense, it didn't smoke, knock, or die on the side of the highway, it didn't announce its failure loudly. In fact, that's what made it worse. From the outside, it looked normal. Clean body, straight panels, interior intact, no drama, no obvious reason for panic, and yet, under the surface, the system had already decided its fate. The dashboard told the real story. Warning messages stacked where reassurance should have been, reduced power alerts, hybrid system errors, notifications designed not to inform but to scare, the kind of warnings that don't suggest maintenance, they suggest replacement. And once those warnings appear, the script is always the same. You take it to a shop, they scan it, they shake their head. Then comes the sentence that kills the car. The battery is gone. No follow-up questions, no deeper explanation, no exploration of why or how, just a conclusion delivered with confidence, backed by experience, and reinforced by industry norms. Replace the pack or scrap the car. That's the choice people are given. And to be fair, it sounds reasonable. Hybrid batteries are complex. High-voltage systems aren't forgiving. Most shops don't repair them at a component level because they aren't set up to. The industry is built around replacement, not revival. So when professionals tell you it's over, most people listen. This car's previous owner did exactly what they were supposed to do. They asked the experts, they trusted the diagnosis, they looked at the cost, and they gave up. I don't blame them. Because when you're told a repair will cost more than the car is worth, logic takes over. Emotion leaves the room. You stop thinking about what the car is and start thinking about what it costs. That's how good vehicles die early. Not because they're unsalvageable, but because the narrative around them is terrifying. When I first saw this hybrid, I didn't see a dramatic failure. I saw something much more unsettling. I saw a car that was being punished by certainty. Everyone was certain it was dead, certain it wasn't worth saving, certain there was no alternative. And yet it still drove. Not confidently, not freely, but it moved. It responded. It behaved like something that was trying to protect itself, not something that had already failed. That contradiction bothered me, because truly dead systems don't negotiate. They don't hesitate. They don't partially function. They don't allow sometimes. They fail completely. This one didn't. It limited power. It restricted behavior. It threw warnings aggressively, but it never gave up entirely. And that raised a question no one else seemed interested in asking. If the battery is truly dead, why is the system still fighting so hard to protect it? That question changed everything. Instead of seeing a broken car, I started seeing a confused one. Modern hybrid systems are conservative by design. They assume worst-case scenarios. They err on the side of caution because the consequences of getting it wrong are severe. If data falls outside expected thresholds, even slightly, the system reacts aggressively. Not because something is destroyed, but because something might be. To the computer, caution is survival. To the driver, it feels like failure. That difference matters more than most people realize. A bad hybrid battery doesn't always mean catastrophic damage. Often it means imbalance, uneven cell voltages, temperature discrepancies, charging behavior that confused the battery management system over time. These systems don't like inconsistency. They don't like being ignored. They don't like shallow charge cycles or long periods of inactivity. And this hybrid had lived exactly that kind of life. Short trips, inconsistent charging, long stretches of sitting unused. Nothing dramatic, nothing abusive, just years of behavior that slowly pushed the system out of balance. The problem is, once the system decides something is wrong, it doesn't explain itself. It doesn't say why. It just restricts. And once a dealership labels the battery as failed, the conversation stops. They don't dig into individual cells. They don't rebalance modules. They don't condition packs. They replace them. Because replacement is safe. Replacement is predictable. Replacement is profitable. Revival is uncertain. And uncertainty scares people. I knew one thing from the start. I wasn't spending money. No replacement pack, no dealer programming, no expensive modules. If this hybrid was going to live again, it would be through understanding, not cash. That meant slowing down, observing, listening. I didn't grab tools, I didn't clear codes, I didn't disconnect anything. I watched how the car behaved, when warnings appeared, when they didn't, what conditions triggered them, what conditions made them disappear. Patterns emerged. The system didn't fail randomly, it failed selectively. Certain temperatures, certain states of charge, certain driving loads. That's not how dead systems behave, that's how cautious systems behave. And once I recognized that, the car stopped looking like a lost cause and started looking like a challenge. A challenge no one recommended, a challenge with no budget, a challenge that would either prove everyone right or expose something deeply misunderstood about hybrid failures. This wasn't about being reckless. It wasn't about ignoring reality. It was about questioning assumptions. Because machines don't panic. People do. And once panic enters the equation, logic leaves. This hybrid wasn't asking to be replaced. It was asking to be understood. And that realization is where this story truly begins. Fixing this hybrid didn't start with a wrench. It started with restraint. The instinct when a car throws warning after warning is to react, clear codes, disconnect the battery, tear into components, force a reset and hope something changes. That approach feels productive, but it's usually destructive. This time, I did the opposite. I let the car talk. Every warning light, every power limit, every moment of hesitation was information. Modern hybrids are rolling data centers, and when something goes wrong, they don't stay silent. They complain loudly, just not clearly. The trick is learning the difference. Instead of seeing errors as commands, I treated them as symptoms. Instead of asking what part is broken, I asked what condition the system hates. That shift changes everything. The first breakthrough came from something simple: temperature. Hybrid batteries are extremely sensitive to heat. Not just extreme heat, variation. When cells within a pack drift apart thermally, the battery management system assumes imbalance, and imbalance is treated as danger. This car hated heat spikes. Not constant heat, spikes. Long downhill regenerative braking, stop-and-go traffic after highway speeds, rapid charge and discharge cycles in warm conditions. Every time those conditions appeared, warnings followed. So instead of fighting the system, I worked with it. I modified driving behavior, reduced aggressive regen, smoothed acceleration, avoided unnecessary load, let the pack warm evenly instead of shock loading it. The result wasn't instant magic, but something subtle happened. Warnings appeared later. Power limits eased slightly. The car felt calmer. That was the confirmation. This wasn't a dead battery. It was an anxious one. From there, patience became the tool. Over days, then weeks, the system began to stabilize. Cell voltages, while not perfect, stopped drifting wildly. Temperature deltas tightened. The car stopped reacting like it was under constant threat. Then came the moment most people never reach. The first drive with no warnings. No limp mode, no alerts, no artificial restrictions, just quiet movement. That silence was louder than any dashboard chime, because it meant the system trusted itself again. And trust is everything in a hybrid.
I didn't replace modules. I didn't reprogram control units. I didn't spend money. What I did spend was time, observing, adapting, letting the car relearn its own behavior. And that's something no shop invoice includes. But the real test wasn't a clean dashboard, it was distance. Short trips don't prove reliability. Anyone can nurse a car around town and claim success. The truth only shows up when systems are stressed over time. So I drove it. Not carefully, not fearfully, normally. Highway miles, traffic, heat, cold mornings, long days. Mile after mile, the hybrid behaved like something that wanted to live. Each successful drive erased another layer of doubt, not just in the car, but in the assumption that hybrid failures are always terminal. Eventually, the number became impossible to ignore. 3,700 miles. Not limped, not trailered, driven.